Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to the Ramadan Reminders. Today we will speak about Taqwa and fast. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in Surah Al-Baqarah 183 says, O you who believe, fasting is prescribed to you as it was prescribed for those before you, so that you may have Taqwa. In this ayat, it becomes clear that one of the goals is taqwa, that you are fasting so that you have taqwa. Taqwa, often translated as fear of Allah, it has a much deeper meaning as a protective shield. It's like taking cover with Allah. To take protection in Allah and falling in love with Allah. At the beginning of the journey appear two different things. At the end of the journey, it's impossible to differentiate from one to another. It relates to love of Allah profoundly. And by saying that by fasting we may obtain taqwa of Allah, it opens for us to reflect upon what it is that happens during the fasting that has to do with taqwa. The first thing is, fasting is not just a ritual, it's an ancient prescription to people before us. And it's also a training ground. It has something for you to acquire that takes you to witnessing, so that you can become aware of Allah. In that space is where taqwa manifests. So looking at the commentary of Ibn Ajiba, he presents a number of themes. This is the tafsir of Ibn Ajiba on this ayat of Quran. And he says that there are several ways in which fasting can occur depending on your condition. It increases your condition in as much as you become aware of what is the thing that you have to obtain, and it's all to do with the presence of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So beyond the physical conditions that fasting impose upon us, there is something deeper to become aware of. Becoming aware of this shield, to be under the shield of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that changes your perception of the event, and it makes the whole experience of Ramadan a different one, precisely on account of your maqam and the possibility of increasing your maqam. So to attain taqwa becomes a necessary condition, according to Ibn Ajiba, in your understanding of Ramadan. You are not only fasting according to what is prescribed, but in order to attain taqwa becomes part of the prescription. And this is as if, appealing to the heart, we pursue the fortification, the strengthening, the empowering of the heart by means of becoming aware of Allah, which is, in our language, to obtain the presence of Allah. All this entangle with all the different things that you are prescribed to do during the month of Ramadan. The purpose of this affair of the heart is unveiling. Unveiling means the removal of veils that it takes you away from the presence of Allah. The first condition of this is, when you think about Ramadan, to be concerned about being thirsty or being hungry and to endure it is not enough. This is to treat the matter on the surface without following the invitation, the turning inward invitation that it is suggested in the ayat. Ibn Ajiba, in looking at this ayat, he reminds us of 3 degrees of fasting, each one corresponding to different levels, different makans of your own condition. So 3 different people in 3 different makans will experience Ramadan differently. The first level is the one of the common people, which means abstaining from food, from drink, from sexual relations, from dawn to sunset. Also things regarding the things you say, the things you feel, etc. The limbs are checked, but the heart, for many people, many of the common people, remains untouched. This remains in ghafla, heedlessness. And yet, as Rasul said in the hadith, whoever does not abandon false speech and acting upon it, Allah has no need for him to abandon food or drink, meaning watch your state, be aware of the state. It's not just fasting, water and food, but what are the things you say? What are the things of your state? Because otherwise it's not worth it. Then Ibn Ajiba goes a little bit deeper by reminding us about the fast of the elite. And he says the fast of the elite is the fast of the limbs and fasting from everything that distracts you from the serving and arriving to Allah. So here, the heart plays a fundamental role. To become aware of the state of your heart, it becomes part of fasting. So it involves the guarding of the mouth, the things we eat, and the tongue, and the gossip, and the argumentation, the vain talk, and the ears, but also includes the condition of your heart, to become aware of the presence of Allah that makes everything above possible, but also it takes you away from ghafla. That is as if it doesn't matter as long as I fast. It removes that thought from you. And here, in this state, in the state of the elite, the heart is devoted always before the presence of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, which not only protects you from making mistakes in terms of your obligations, but it brings you closer to the presence of Allah. So the person who fasts in this condition, it becomes closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And then Ibn Ajiba, in the same, continues by saying, and then there is the fasting of the elite of the elite. And for them, the matter is read differently. Their concern is not to be concerned with anything other than Allah. It's the continuous nourishment of their yaqeen, of their certainty, and awareness of the lordship and the rububiyyah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So it's not just food, it's not just feeding the heart, but here is truly to be spiritually strong by means of not allowing to be concerned except by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And for them, the condition exceeds obligations and it perpetuates in time. Ibn Ajiba says, the people who attain this condition of yaqeen, they are fasting all the time. They are perpetually fasting. For in that condition is not just the month of Ramadan, but the time that follows that changes the meaning of everything, including themselves. This is a state of noxis, and this is the pursuit of the people of the path. That means to become aware a lot more than just the food and the tongue, the things you say, but to become aware of what you see, what you perceive with the heart, to the extent that you cannot tolerate anything that separates you or deviates you or concerns you with anything other than Allah. That doesn't mean that you are not concerned other people around you. On the contrary, is that when you look, wherever you look, the face of Allah is fully to be integrated, is to fully to be alive, is fully to be aware. So this state of the permanent state of fasting of the elite must be seen from the people of the Tariqah as the ultimate goal. It is indeed empowerment, and is a call to guide, as if the people on this condition of the elite, they're feeding. They're feeding by being there, by the things they say, by the things they don't say, by their own condition. And the condition is healing. And of course, they are concerned with the affairs of other people, but not as something different from theirs, but as part of who they are. So these people feed. And you don't need to talk to feed. Your condition and your state feeds. And that's empowerment of a different kind. For the fasting of these people is healing, even if the person is not aware. And this should be ultimately Taqwa, not just as a protection of against hellfire. It is a protection against the notion of forgetting Allah, or become aware of anything other than Allah in every moment. It is the state where the heart, having tasted the divine, can no longer bear to be separated. And so remember that when you are fasting, you have a goal. And your goal is to attain and to mature and to empower Taqwa, so that you become a guide to yourself by means of the presence of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.